Hello, I'm Jade McSeveny. The death of Irfan's father in 2001, along with the instability inside Pakistan, led him and his wife Sobia to leave their birthland for a new life in Australia. Over the next 12 years, their family would face many challenges. This is Irfan and Sobia Hashmi's journey, from Pakistan to the Flinders Ranges.
We met at the uni and we were both studying pharmacy at that time and got married just 2 years after that.
I was living with my dad because we have a combination family system, like when we stay with our parents and we have a big house, like 4 or 5 bedroom house. So I was living up there, and yes, it was nice. I was working for a pharmaceutical company.
It was really good living with the family. It was a big family. He had brothers and sisters, and he is the elder brother. We were actually struggling with money, and Irfan did support me to sort of start working in Pakistan. Obviously, a lot of ladies who would like to work need a lot of support from their husbands, but I think it was just a general sort of expectation from the family that I should stay at home. So I can't say that I was sort of forced to. It's just that it was just sort of tradition that the lady would sort of sit at home and do the housework and look after the kids. It doesn't mean that I really wanted it, like I really wanted to go out and do something. And the ladies in Pakistan, they don't have a lot of freedom as compared to the men, because it's a male dominant society.
After that incident, which we call a big event in this world, 9/11, that really impacted our region where we're living, especially Karachi was a big city business center. There were a few incidents which we noticed during that time or after that time that really says that now Karachi could be not a safe place for my future generation, and that's why I would say that we were thinking about going offshore where we can have a safer life. And my father never encouraged me to go out of this country or overseas to live abroad, but I think that was a day when he passed away. On the same day, I was chatting about some of the daily things which we normally talk, and he mentioned something very strange that Irfan, you need to think about going overseas and make your family living up there as a new home. And that was a bit surprising, and the evening he passed away due to some heart attack.
He was the elder brother, and there was a lot of responsibilities on his shoulders, and he really wanted to go out of the country and do something for the family and do something better for your future. So that's how we decided to come out to Australia, and I think it was the best decision of our life.
I chose South Australia because I was watching cricket since a very young age, Adelaide Oval, and that was one of my attractions since a young kid. And I love to come here to see cricket as well as to study. So that was the main purpose why I came to South Australia especially.
When we were actually leaving for Australia, my father came to me, because I wasn't expecting him to sort of say that, but he said to me that now that Irfan's taking you along with the kids, don't just waste your degree. I will expect you to be sort of doing something, sitting the professional exam, whatever it takes. Now you have to do it. It was really difficult time. It's about 20 million population in Karachi, and when we came to Adelaide, it was so different. We could hardly see any people as compared to we had in our country.
In Adelaide, life was a bit difficult in a way that I was not having any connections here, not knowing any people, not many people around, and obviously I was trying to find some jobs where I was able to find some petty jobs, like jobs where you go and do a pizza delivery or a kitchen hand job, which is I would say the bad time that in my life that I spent. And I remember there was a cook working in there, and he asked me a question, what sort of job you were doing before, and I said, look, I was working for a pharmaceutical company, and he was just laughing at me and saying, so why you are here in Adelaide, what you doing here, and you should go and back and enjoy the life what you were having over there. And that's kind of challenges that I was facing even in those hard jobs, and but that those jobs were not really last because I was not able to understand the culture initially here.
Irfan, have a delivery for Beulah Park?
And I was asked to leave some of the jobs which I was doing, like I was asked to leave the pizza job on the second day when I was 20 minutes late from the delivery.
Both of my kids were so little. One of them was 2 years, and the other one was only a year old, and we were not getting any support for childcare at that time. We actually did have the money, but that money was only to sit all the professional exams. And it was so hard for us to sort of pay Irfan's university fee and then have the house running for the kids. I know that we came in summers, but it was so cold in Adelaide. I wasn't expecting this cold, and I had to sort of go into a clothing bin, and there was lots of clothes outside. I just picked up some for me and my kids because we were not prepared for it. We were not ready for the weather. And then when we started off, it was a small unit in Adelaide where we sort of started our life in Australia, and there was no furniture in the house. I had to sort of look out for if somebody was putting out their things, and I would just sort of look here and there and go out and pick it up and bring it inside. So that's how we started. We had about 6 chairs in the house and all different. So we were very isolated.
There were a lot of questions being asked from my family from back from Pakistan, that how are you going there and how are you going with other community, especially Pakistani community. Are you getting mixed up? Are you making my friends over there?
A lady rang me from the Pakistani community to say that somebody just told me that you people are here from Pakistan, and I would like to sort of touch base with you because we're organizing a function on the Independence Day. And when Irfan came back from uni that night, I told him that, Irfan, we've got something happening and it's a big celebration, and I would love to go there because I would be able to see people from my country, and I would just like to share what they went through, like what we are at the moment. And he was really quiet, and he didn't say, after a long, there was a pause, and he said, no, Sobia, no, we're not going. And I was shocked, like I started crying. I said to Irfan, why we wouldn't sort of go into, it's a big celebration, they sing songs for the country, Independence Day celebrations. And he said, no, I don't think you'll be very happy because they're all so much well off, and look how the way we are. I think it's better to be isolated than sort of mingle with the community.
I was really embarrassed because we were not doing very well economically, and don't have a good job, don't have good income, and it really embarrassment sort of thing. And it was in our culture that man is actually the one who's actually earning and feeding the house, and so that really challenging time for me. So I have to say, so no, please don't go and leave them what they're doing, and we just if we pass some exams here, then we can have some better job, then we can do those things later.
I wasn't able to sort of communicate well with my family and with my brothers and sisters what I was going through, and I really wanted to share my experiences, what happened to me in Australia, and sort of ask if anyone else would have gone through the same sort of experience. Because if I was to tell my mother and father that I'm actually picking up hard rubbish outside my house, how awful they would feel. So I really wanted to sort of get in touch with some Pakistani people, but Irfan wouldn't let me.
I remember in October 2003, we were thinking about as a family that if one of us can give an exam and pass through, then there's a chance that we can have a future good life here. Come through.
As an overseas trained pharmacist, we're not allowed to sort of work in a pharmacy just straight away. So the first process is to sit the English exam. Obviously, we need to be speaking in really good fluent English to be working here in Australia, because the job of the pharmacist is to explain the patients how they've got to be taking their medication, and it's got to be really good.
Okay, if you have no further questions, we'll get started on the exam. So Mrs. Russell comes in the pharmacy with Oliver.
And then this Australian Pharmacy Authority, you've got to give an equivalency exam that if you pass, you're equivalent to anyone who's had 4 years degree in Australia. Once you sort of pass that exam, then you've got to have 2,000 hours of training, paid training in a pharmacy. Once you finish that, then there's another exam. It's called Stage 2. That's a registration exam. That's a full day exam for overseas pharmacists. It's got a practical and a viva as well. So that's how you get registered in Australia. And once you give that Stage 2, then you start working as a pharmacist.
So we just decide, okay, Sobia will take the exam, and because we don't have enough money in our bank account, that was the last hope. And we just did that in a way that if Sobia passed, then she can go to get a job, and otherwise we need to go back to Pakistan. I would say we can't stay here.
Everything was on my shoulders. The ball was in my court. It was on me if we were to stay in Australia. So that was a decision. That was the biggest decision for Irfan to sort of ask me to sit the exam. So I sat my English exam and I got really good marks, and I came off with flying colours in that. Then I was to sit the pharmacy exam, and I passed that as well. I was really lucky. I think I did work hard for it. I got a job in Darwin, and then Irfan had to sort of defer his master's studies in Adelaide because I think for me to get a job in Darwin was really important. Otherwise, according to the plan, we were going back. That's what was the plan, to go to get a job and start working in a pharmacy. We went to Darwin and I started working, and I had to sort of apply for another visa that was called occupational trainee visa at that time. And Irfan wasn't allowed to work as a spouse.
We were in Darwin and Sobia was working, and I was not working and studying at home and looking after my kids, and that's a bit awkward position for a male person from my culture especially. There were a few questions being asked from my family as well as from some of the Pakistani people who lives here, that why are you not working? Is there any reason? And that's I can't explain everything because of the visa restriction. I was not allowed to work, and I have to just stay at home, and that again is a situation where things become tough for a male person.
There's a lot of people in the family which sort of whispering, what's happening? What are they doing? What are they up to? Like, how come she's supposed to be sitting at home and looking after the kids, not him? Like, why is he sort of just letting her go? Like, this is not the tradition. This is not the culture. It was a funny situation. I knew the future looked really bright to us, but it wasn't sort of to them. Like, it was like end of the world, that Irfan's sitting at home and I'm doing full-time work. And they thought that we were sort of not doing the right thing. And it's just that firm belief that we had, no, this is right, that we are doing the right thing. Let what other people say, it doesn't matter. We've got to sort of focus on our goals, and that's it. Whatever it takes, we've got to do it. We actually sat exams together. I was the one who sat Stage 2 and he was the one who sat Stage 1. We both passed. It was really good. It was a wonderful feeling. It was a big relief that there was a light that was showing us that we're going to stay in Australia. Like, we can make this a home. And here I would like to say I wasn't expecting for me and Irfan getting a job in a big city.
And I started applying all over Australia, and luckily we've been offered a job in Port Pirie, which is Flinders Ranges, by an employer who is looking for two staff as a pharmacist and a trainee pharmacist.
That's one of the best decisions I think we made of our lives, that we sort of opted for Port Pirie. We went over to Port Pirie to have a look, and that town had everything, like the Flinders Ranges. It was beautiful countryside. There were schools, supermarkets. I think it was a wonder place for us.
Good thing about Port Pirie that is a good town for raising kids, especially kids who want to do sports, and it's a sporting town. So that's a positive thing that we heard before coming here, and we try to. Like I personally try to get involved with the local club, and that's how I make some friends over there. And when my kids were at school, they were involved in their own like soccer and the cricket again, and those kind of sports activity actually encourage us to stay here in this region, and especially the surrounding area. You have everything in Port Pirie, I would say. You have sea, you have hills on the other side. You can't miss anything, and Adelaide is not far from there, and that's why we make Port Pirie as our home, and we really enjoyed our time since 2005. When I started my career in Port Pirie, Sobia was my boss because she was a registered pharmacist and I was a trainee pharmacist, and some awkward position for a community from Pakistan that I was coming, and I remember there were some friends who were discussing about my job, how I'm going, and they're still making fun of me that, oh, Irfan, you're still doing a trainee job?
They were like thinking again, like, what's happening? How come she's the boss? She's just taken over him. Like, he's just letting her go. Whatever she wants to, she's just doing. And what's happening?
That was like my culture background, that boss should be the male person as compared to the female, and but that was 1 year that I have to work as a trainee to go through my registration, which is very important to become a pharmacist, regardless of the cultural differences.
I was working for a year for this company, and there was some changes that happened inside the company and on my job. So one day I was sort of asked to leave the job.
That was a big blow for us, especially because she was working as a pharmacist, main earner for the family, and I was working as a pretty rich pharmacist, which is a lower salary, which is not significantly enough for a family to support.
So I knew that would just put a lot of pressure on us financially as well, that because the house was dependent on my salary, and things were not looking well at that time.
It was a bit hard to find a job elsewhere, but I kept my nerves down and keep working in the same premises and complete my registration.
So after my contract was terminated, we thought about opening our own pharmacy. It was almost looking impossible at that time because I was out of job for more than 6 months, and we thought there is so much opportunity. How come we can just walk away from this town? And I don't think we would ever get such an opportunity to open a business ever in Australia.
We thought, okay, if we can start our own work here, like you start a small community pharmacy in this town, because obviously the population was enough that it can have another pharmacy.
So when we thought about opening our own business, it wasn't easy as it seemed. There was a lot of hard work to put in through, first to get the finances sorted out and then sort of physically put it together.
Being I was working for my boss, and obviously Sobia is actually going to start a business, that was a conflict of interest, and bosses were not really pleased. They eventually came to me and sacked me first, and they said to me, if you guys stop that project, then we can have you back. And that wasn't an option for us, because Sobia was already lost her job before, so we want to do something for future that can be beneficial for both of us.
I think that was the very best experience in my life when we because it was just the first business when we opened. We had no experience of doing a business before. Previously we were always working for someone else. So to have a business of your own and then sort of to start paying wages and do lots of things that we would never sort of think about working for someone else was a big challenge. And I was, me and Irfan, I think we were very lucky. We were sort of together.
There were some challenges like I was having overseas background, especially with a different color of skin, and that makes it a little bit challenging when you go to a new place. The locals may think about that, oh, this person is a new person and he want to take some advantage from that community. Yeah, that was the thing which I was facing a little bit, I would say racism, but I would say is a human nature, and when someone new go to a new area, they may face difficulties I went to a petrol station, and over there someone said to me, are you a boat person? And that was something which I was not expecting, but I try to say nice thing to them that, look, I'm here to provide some pharmacy services. Would you think it's going to be a good opportunity for this town? And then they start talking good, and that's how we get mixed with the community, and that's how we make friends.
I think we got remarkable support from the communities in Flinders, in Port Pirie, Orurukon and Kubipidi. If there was no support available, it would be impossible. These communities have sort of helped us through this time when we were setting up all these pharmacies.
Oruru is my top town, I would say. I would like to work with there. I like to talk with the people when they come to shop at pharmacy, because as a health professional, I think we are providing a quality service to the town where it wasn't available.
I think our future is really bright because I've got 3 children, and I hope that they're able to sort of get the right education for their future. The businesses have come along really well. The time that I look back now when we came to Australia is a lot more different than what it is now. I get a lot more homesick when I go overseas. I think that I've sort of just really become an Australian.
Having established these businesses in Flinders Range is the main catalyst for our success so far, and as you can see, there are a lot of pharmacies not doing very well, or they may be struggling in city area. If we would have choose that track, if we would have tried to open a pharmacy in Adelaide, I'm pretty sure that we won't be able to get that sort of success what we have received in this region, especially in Flinders Ranges and mid-north and far north region.
There is a huge contrast to when I grew up in Pakistan as to what Australia has to offer for my daughter, and that's one of the better things that I know that future has in for us. The first thing would be security. She's much secure in Australia as compared to Pakistan, and my dream for my daughter as for her future in Australia would be to sort of live a life similar to and sort of achieve what I have through hard work. But I think the country has more to offer to us as compared to Pakistan. She's got much more opportunity to sort of get educated in an environment that's a lot better than I was offered when I went to uni. I think there's more acceptability for women in Australia, and we are very lucky living in Australia that women get the right to do things what they want to and achieve. As a woman, they don't sort of have to be really dependent on their families as to what they will be doing in their future. And I hope that she will be offered a lot more better education, better environment, and better security as in terms of growing up as I was offered when I went to university.